welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Now, I wasn't going to have a rant because I have like a gazillion voices on tonight that I think will get us hyped. Then I was going to have a rant, but then I think I'm going to invite my guests to rant with me. Y'all, give it up for my guests tonight. First up, I got all the way from Porter County, Deb Porter, who is the host of A Better Way Forward. Welcome back, Deb.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Next up, I have my man. Where'd you go? He left. Next up, I have from My Labor Radio, who is doing it big and strong in the Fort Wayne area. Y'all give it up for Mark Gevaart.
Thank you very much, Dana Black. A pleasure to be here with you. You got a great team tonight.
I love it. I love it. All the way from the southern part of Indiana, bringing the funk and bringing the noise. My guy, the host of Common Conversation, Miguel Hampton. What's happening? Did I lose you? You got all the technology, bro. All right, I'll come back to you. Next up, a newcomer to the scene is getting his feet wet, doing it his style from Hamilton County. The Johnny Says. Y'all give it up for John Dolon.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dana. I'm in Marion County.
You're in Marion County? Oh, for some reason I thought, there you go. And then,
I don't know. Am I still here?
You are here.
I know, right? So I got a button somewhere that ain't get pushed.
And of course, you know,
my life.
We got all of these talkers on via podcast, Facebook Live, but you can't forget about the print. Y'all give it up for my guy from Fort Wayne and the content creator for the Snyder Report, Gary Snyder. Gary, welcome to the show.
How is everyone? And I will just say that I am sponsored by Under Armour. So that's why I'm sporting the gear. Not really.
No,
but,
okay.
I do radio too. I still listen to radio. So
that's what's up. So let me give my audience a little rundown. So here's the deal. We're in the midst of a real movement in our state. We have a super duper majority that has completely and totally lost their minds. And the reason why we're doing this show today is so that you can figure out who the people are that are talking about the issues that matter to us in the State House and all over the nation, right? And so all of these individuals are doing the same thing that I love to do, and that is to bring you, our left-leaning listeners, easy for me to say, the information that matters. So I wanted to bring us all together so that you can get familiar with who they are, where they are, and how to get involved with what they're doing. But first up, y'all, let's rant together. If y'all don't mind, right? Let's just have some fun with this. Did you see today where the Indiana Republican Party decided that they wanted to shout down, to speak over, to be incredibly disrespectful to the Black Caucus members who were raising objections to a bill? It reminded me of the senator when President Barack Obama was giving his speech and he yelled out, "You lie." Y'all, can y'all talk about the insanity that's happening in our State House right now? And just go.
I would say Nikki Kelly had a nice piece on Twitter today, and I followed and went down that whole list. One of the things that knocked me out was how she talked about people were physically accosting each other and calling each other names. Like, they're the first people, this GQP here in the state of Indiana, are the ones that consistently say, hey, we got to have decorum. We got to have respect for each other. Come on, man. You can't have respect if you're shouting people down and not allowing those folks to even have their minority voice.
Hello.
and you know, to be honest here, I mean, does it surprise you that any of the Republicans were involved? And when you take a look at Indiana government, you can even get to the national level. Right now, what agency, what part of government is not failing people of color right now?
Come on, say it again.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I mean, name one, other than maybe the military. What agency, what part of government is not failing people of color?
They all are. But to have elected officials, right, literally shouting down. Listen, Representative Greg Porter, who is my representative, by the way, so I took it slightly personal, has been in that chamber for 25 years. He's a very respectful man. And for him to be treated the way he was, they literally, nobody wants to say it, but I'm going to say it, they dehumanized that man. Mm-hmm. Miguel, you going to stay silent on that?
Man, look, I didn't hear it, but I'm not surprised. I mean, the Republicans have been running rampant, for my white allies who are watching. Man, white people have been running rampant in Indiana for a minute, right? Like, we got Klan rallies down here in southern Indiana that go unchecked. We had political, folks and elected officials talking about, black people just don't come outside to play. So I'm not surprised by any of these idiots. Let's just call it like it is. This is an unfortunate war, right? This is what we're in. Politics is a war, and we've been in a race war in this country for years. And Indiana has continued to show its face. When Pence was governor and when he went to be vice president and under the arms of Trump, and the rest of they cronies and troops are following behind him, man. At some point in time, we just gonna have to, be proactive and maybe punch back a little bit verbally, and stop taking it.
Yeah, no more Mr. Softy. Go on, Deb. I see you.
So, to tag on to that, Miguel, he's absolutely right. And the real crime here is that this happened, and two things. First of all, a lot of us are not surprised by it. And second of all, in every community, only a handful of people are upset by it. That's the real problem, is that these legislators, they're all coming home tonight. They should be greeted with protests. They should be greeted at their doorways with signs and outrage, but they're not. Mm-hmm. And that's the real problem here, is that too many of us are complacent. I am incensed that while I was standing in my classroom today as an elementary music teacher, sharing with my students my newly minted, I do this every year, but I try and share with them some Black musicians that you've probably not heard of, who have contributed to our culture and to our American music experience that you should know about. And it's a little slideshow I put together with live clips of them, of the music and stuff. And inevitably, one of the kids will say, "Why do we have to do this?" And they're not saying that because why do we have to learn about it? Because they will say, "Why do we have to do this?" When I say, "We're going to learn about quarter notes." They will say this when I say, "We're going to learn about," if I said, "We're going to learn about rap," they're going to say, "Why do we have to do this?"
Right.
We do that. All right. It really is. That's their brain.
Just show them Milli Vanilli.
Well, yeah.
No, don't do that.
And at the end of the day, I tell them it's because we have not recognized the contributions. Historically, we've not recognized the contribution, and this has to stop. And we need to acknowledge and recognize these contributions for what they are, significant contributions. And while I'm doing this, the very time that I'm doing this in my classroom, this is going on in our state legislature. Man. This is so offensive.
Man.
Well, and I ran in 2018. I ran against the infamous Andy Day, the guy who said racism is not real. The white male is the most discriminated person in America. And, to be honest, and my wife said this, and I called her crazy, which I don't do very often.
That was popular, I'm sure.
But basically, it probably helped him. I still lost 70-30. And the Republican Party, after saying how much they hated, what he said, they still sent him hundreds of thousands of dollars to run against me. And I still lost 70-30.
Yeah. And the crazy part is, we are in the midst of Black History Month, right? We're in the midst of that. And then here these men and women are consciously having the conversation. Now, I saw a little video clip of what happened in the hallway with Representative Summers. I'm not even sure what that man said to that little black woman to make her dynamite go boom, right?
Yeah.
But he must have been way out of line. But you know what? When I hear people say, well, why do we have to why do we have to have Black History Month? You know, that's one of the things that drives me crazy. Why? Well, first of all, you would have to understand the atrocities that we've been through to have the accomplishments that we've had for you to understand the necessity of Black History Month. You gotta know how bad it was. I read an article today, because you know all the great stories are coming out about Wilmington, South Carolina in 1898. Progressive black and white folks creating businesses and being all that they want to be and working together. And then a bunch of jealous ass white people don't want to see black folk with some money. They take it over, burn it down, kill people. And then y'all want to know why we got to have Black History Month. If we can, and then, because, you know, they always telling us, you know, we don't care about our communities. We don't care about our neighborhoods. Every time we try to do something for ourselves, they burn it down.
Yeah.
Now look,
You're not wrong.
right? I'm going to say I got a whole bunch of talk show hosts on here. Don't y'all have no dead air?
Right. You said there ain't supposed to be no dead air.
Ain't no dead air.
I mean, we watch, you know, we've seen it throughout history, right? We know it, you know. Black people to the United States is about economics, period. You know, if we're not in enslavement, you know, if we're not in jail, creating opportunities for those who own private jails, if we're not funding institutions such as the police departments, the sheriff department, the State Department, you know, through whatever means and principles that they want to put in place to continue to target the African American community as a whole, man. These are just consistent issues. But I mean, these are the things that are turning out. Like when we watch, you know, the civil unrest that happened all last year, right? You know, they haven't stopped. They just calmed down. People are planning and plotting and trying to figure out how we get real change.
And it's
how
wintertime.
we continue to adjust the culture of this country, in our cities and in our counties. Man, it's real. These, you know, I saw was it State Rep Jim Lucas. He's down here in Southern Indiana, and he's I think he was promoting a bill for marijuana, talking in the caption or the headline said, you know, they're going to decriminalize marijuana, but the whole bill was about arresting people for driving while under the influence of THC. And I was like, how do we lead with one topic, but we're really doing the complete opposite? And that's what they've done to black folks. That's what they've done to indigenous people in this country. I mean, you know, the life in America is wild if you of color, you know, and a lot of people are learning it firsthand.
Yeah.
Well, contrast the Black Lives Matter protest with what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. Just imagine if those were people of color racing into that Capitol. It would have been a bloodbath. People would
the National Guard would have been there.
Yeah, they'd be going to prison for the rest of their lives. We got people, you know, asking to get off probation to go to Mexico, and I'm not talking about dead groups.
All right, y'all. I mean, we can go with this all day. I want to make sure that I highlight who you guys are. All right. First up, I'm going to go ahead and give Mark the first go on this. He's been doing My Labor Radio for a minute now. And again, I'm the only one that's really hyper partisan. But I'm sorry, I really don't know any Republicans that like labor. So y'all can call it what you want, right? Mark, tell the people who you are, where you come from, and what you're doing.
Well, consistently, I've been trying to do a show every month when I started in 2016. Then I went to every 10 days, work full time like all of us do. We got to make a living. Can't afford all these things like the microphone and the camera and all that other stuff and getting online. I have a website, mylaborradio.org. I self-fund the show. I was doing cable community access TV in the late 80s, early 90s, and that station is uniquely housed in our Allen County Public Library here in Northeast Indiana, right in Fort Wayne, which provides a lot of opportunity because it's got a great infrastructure to support them. In the early 2000s, they said, hey, we're going to do radio. I said, count me in. So when they got closer to it here in 16, it kicked off in February of 16. And I started the show then to talk about labor. I've been doing labor as a union member for over 30 years. And for me, my former president, former vice president of my local union, did a number of leadership positions things. I wanted to do After that, it's a younger person's job to do those things. I've been around over 30 years. Let the younger member take over and be a leader. I don't need to be a leader forever type of thing. I can lead by doing something like this. So I interview the candidates that are helping the working families, that are talking unions. I want to interview the candidate who doesn't have a problem saying the word union in a sentence and not worried about that. And one of the things I'm most proud of is interviewing people from all sectors of unions, whether it's a nurse thinking about joining a union who has to have her voice disguised because she doesn't want to lose her job, but talks about the atrocities she's dealing with in her nurse's station 13 hours a day, to an actual politician who says, I'm going to run, and then loses because a park bench with an R in front of it beat her in the District 52 bench. Schmaltz is what I'll call him, a park bench. But it doesn't matter. The Republicans in this state have dominated so bad that a park bench with an R in front of it is getting the vote. It's frustrating as hell. The last thing I want to say is, as a union member for over 30 years, we have, as a union, fought for diversity and inclusion. There's always work to be done. Don't let that surprise you. It's like, oh, well, sure, but what about? Because there's always what about. There's always some issue that we didn't clearly do, or some idiot, because you can't put that many people together, thousands of people, and not have idiots. We know that. Every town's got that. That's understood. But we always work to be inclusive and make sure that all the voices are heard, the opinions are heard, and that's what's important. And that's what's lost in our state house right now. It's a one-way street, and nobody else gets an option. So you can find my show, mylaborradio.org, and it's also on 2 times a week, every Wednesday on our local cable access radio station. But Gary Snyder and the Snyder Report, oh boy, what a helpful shot. He's getting me out there every night of the week from 8 to 9 p.m. too.
I love it.
I'm getting some love there too from Gary.
Well, see, since you did the segue with that most amazing voice, I'm a little jealous. Like, your voice is like the dopest, right? You already know how I feel about it. I'm like, man, I don't have a radio voice.
Love. I like it.
I love it, man. Come on, Gary. See, I actually met Gary when he was like pitching, me spending some money in his advertising, and I didn't have any. Right. I didn't have any money. Gary, tell the people who you are, where you come from, and what you do.
Well, I live up in Huntington. I was an anti-money laundering officer for a major brokerage firm, and lost my job. Actually, the brokerage firm I worked for shut down in 2009. So the natural progression was into radio. I started doing a podcast. Someone saw it, got on the real radio 1 day a week, then 2, and then finally got a 3 to 6 gig on WBAT out of Marion. Did that for about 3.5 years, and then WoWo up in Fort Wayne. They fired the 3 to 6 guy, and they had a new station manager. He thought he would do the show. They ran him off because he wasn't crazy enough, I guess. So they were interviewing people. They hired me. I did 9 to midnight and then moved to 3 to 6. And I had Debbie Wasserman Schultz on my show one day on WoWo. And
the fire.
And I'm telling you what, you would have thought that I had lit a bomb under the radio station.
I bet they did.
And the station manager came in after it's over, and he's like, "Great interview. Don't ever do it again." And then a week later, they fired everyone and brought back the guy that they fired for being too religious on the radio, or too right, to QAnon, whatever you want to call it. I guess he was QAnon before it was popular. But I started my own radio station, and Indiana Talks, and we were trying to give local personalities an opportunity to get on the radio, to be heard. We grew the station. We got a phone call one day from, one second here. No, I don't have COVID. But we got a phone call one day from Stephanie Miller. They want to know if we'd be interested in putting her show on. So we grabbed a lot of shows from some of the national networks. So we carry shows like Democracy Now! We carry Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Mike Malloy in the evening. We also I do a show every once in a while and put it up. When I get, a while back, I interviewed Susan Rice.
Are you just name dropping? Go ahead on with your bad self.
I could name drop all day, but so I put my show on, every once in a while. We have Mark's show. We have a show out of Bloomington that's on their public radio station. It's on every day. So we give local Indiana personalities the opportunity, even though they may have a podcast where people would have to go out and try to find that podcast. We give them the opportunity. We give them a slot on our station. If they just do one show a week, then we play that show all week. That way, it'll give our thousands of listeners that we get each day an opportunity to hear them. And then about a year and a half ago, I started a newsletter. A good friend of, I think, everyone here, at least Dana's, Robin Winston convinced me to start doing a newsletter. And so we did. We called it the Snyder Report, kind of. And if I have to explain it, I tell my wife. Then you don't get it.
You don't get it.
It's kind of a play off my name, like being a Snyder, a smart ass report. So we put a newsletter out each morning to now over 25,000 people each day across the state. Sometimes we use their headlines. Sometimes I make up my own, and that gets me in a little trouble sometimes. And we just put out, stories maybe you're not seeing every day from TV, and just kind of condense everything into one little newsletter each day that people can listen to or can read and get caught up on the day's events. And we have a website to go with it. It's kind of a drudge theme type website. And it's grown to where, I do this full time now. I wanted to say, Mark, I do it full time.
Right. Well, wait a minute. Now, don't rub it in, because I still got my daytime gig.
No, it does well, especially in election years. This year might be a little tough, but
right.
But we have like I said, over 25,000 subscribers that go out each day. The weekend is just for premium subscribers. We charge $25-$50. We have quite a few of those that make up that help help me buy McDonald's each day. And
don't eat that.
It's I'm really humbled on how much it's grown. And I tell people it's read everywhere, from the courthouses of Indiana to the White House. I know that there are people that open it in the White House each day now. And to me, that is amazing.
I love it. And again, we've been doing this dance for what, 6 years now? And yeah. I'm really, I'm excited about what you do. And you inspire a lot of us to monetize this thing and try to make some money off of it. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm working on it. But I love that you talked about your time in radio, because Deb Porter up in Porter County, her show is on the radio. Tell the people who, now you are a frequent flyer on Turn Left. So tell the people who you are and where you come from and what you're working on.
So WVLP is one of those low-watt local radio stations that the FCC, 20 years ago, they made these stations of these low-watt bands available. And a couple of guys from Valpo decided Valpo needs a low-watt radio station. We'll apply for it. So this June, we'll be celebrating our 20 years of it in business. So my co-host Luke and I have this little radio station called A Better Way Forward, and we are unabashedly Democrat-leaning, progressive-leaning, and we are not afraid to poke sticks at our Republican leadership in Valparaiso and our Republican legislators from our community, and kind of and we don't do it maliciously, but it's all about accountability. if you're doing something crazy like voting against public education, we're going to call you out
Hello.
every single time. It's that kind of thing. If you are the mayor of our city and we just got 14 inches of snow and we still have 2 days later, we still have roads that haven't been plowed, this is a problem. And, you need to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
We call it out. So, that's what we do. But we have guests on the radio show, and we try and keep it light. We are not, like all heavy all the time. We have fun. So we're kind of like the friends of radio in that we might have a theme, but we don't really have a script.
That sounds about like me.
I have a jar that has some talking ideas that, if things get really desperate, we can just reach into the jar and pull it out and say, hey, let's talk about this.
Well, living in Indiana, there's always something to talk about because
right. And sometimes you just can't have dead air. And, sometimes if there isn't a guest and it's just the two of us, we're looking at each other thinking, well, now what are we going to do? So, I've got this jar of ideas and, we have only had to use it once. And, we spent like 45 minutes on that one topic. It was only going to be 15 minutes. So we did pretty well. But we have an hour show once a week. And the station has said, well, you could expand it to an hour and a half, which we've gone over several times. So we're thinking about maybe taking that extra 30 minutes. And now we actually are going to start a second show on Friday nights called A Night on the Town, where we're going to talk about Valpo's becoming a destination for food and beverages. We've got a big journeyman distillery going to come in. We've got several microbreweries and, so it's a place to come for food and for drinks. And a lot of the restaurants have live entertainment. So we want to feature some of the entertainers that come in. So that one will be very much just for fun. But we're going to be co-hosting that. There's 5 of us that are going to rotate around through that schedule. So
I love it.
It'll be
I love it.
So,
and we
like I said, low bandwidth, but we've got a couple of boosters. So we actually have like 4 counties that can actually get on, and then it's also available on the internet.
I love it.
And that's at 103.1.
103.1. We gonna do all the call letters, but I want to make sure that I get a chance to rap with all of you all. Now, John, I met you when you actually came out to knock doors for me when I was a candidate way back in 2016. And we've had subsequent conversations, and when I saw that you were, putting your voice to the mic and were creating a space to have different types of conversations, I was excited because the more the merrier. John, tell the people who you are, where you come from, and what you're working on.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Muncie, a little down the road here, and I was always interested in performing. I did stand-up comedy when I was in high school, and then I went out to California to go to screenwriting school. Now, I went to screenwriting school because I didn't get into film school, and they said, well, we have a screenwriting slot open. I'm like, if it gets me out of here, you know what I mean? I'll take it. So I did that, never thinking, about writing anything, but I ended up doing that. But I got more politically active in 2003 around the presidential campaign that was going on in 2004 and, got very active in that. So really was more involved in politics and working in nonprofits and things like that. But around this time when, COVID hit and everybody was supposed to be quarantined back in, April, May, I don't know if it, but as it was really isolating. So I thought, I need to talk to some people. I always wanted to be a talk show host. So I thought, I'm going to start talking to people on Facebook Live, and my first guest was my high school history teacher, who I hadn't talked to in 3 years when I was in high school. So after that, I was talking to him, and then I started getting other guests as well, too. I got... But then it was a lot of people in my orbit. So even though it was, my high school teacher and, radio and wrestling announcers and all these types of things, it was a lot of political people like, yourself, like, I'm going to name drop myself as well, too. Janine Lee Lake was on my show. Leandre Level was on my show. A lot of candidates. And I decided to, around what could I do? I didn't feel comfortable. We were talking about canvassing. I love canvassing.
Me too.
That's my favorite thing to do. So I didn't feel comfortable doing it around this time. So I thought, what can I do? I did phone bank, which I don't like to do, but I did. I started inviting candidates on, and my show, even though we talk about issues, I want to talk, learn about people, interview them. And Dana, as you know, being a candidate, we were both former candidates, and Gary as well too, is that there's that one thing that makes you want to be a candidate. I mean, it kind of leads up, but there's the one thing that's like. So that was what I wanted to find out about these candidates, and hopefully if we find out about them on a personal level and then get into that, that'll get people interested, and get people that are watching and find out more about them and want to vote for them, because there's so many great candidates, and you see the flyers but really going more deep in conversation with them.
I love it. And I'm just happy that you out here doing what you do, because sometimes it's just a little thing that gets you going. Now, my next guy, I ain't gonna lie, like he like my brother, like my little brother. I mean, I ain't gonna call you my little brother because you're kind of taller than me, but you know what I mean. I got more gray. He is also a fellow deputy chair of the state party for another month anyway. I don't know what's going to happen to you. I don't know what's going to happen to me. But this man, like, y'all, I don't know if y'all have heard me say it, of all the people that I've worked with who've had their homegrown studios, like I got a homegrown studio. Well, Gary Snyder, he big time. So, but Miguel has got one of the baddest studios that's his, down in Clark County in Jeffersonville. Miguel Hampton, tell the people who you are, where you come from, and what you're doing.
What it do, man. Thank you. I'm just that guy, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I have a small marketing and PR firm. I work with anybody from humanity to political candidates to people who just was digging in their nose, found gold, and said, now what do I do with it? I have a podcast called Common Convo. It's been around since 2006, off and on. And it started out really just talking about the Black experience and the things that we were going through as business owners. And then it morphed in, and we was on WLOU FM radio in Louisville in 2016, around about the time I was running for county commissioner in Clark County. And then that we morphed the show into kind of more of a political, social, economic space where we came in and talked about our life, our experiences, the things that we were going, we were just going through. And then, that went away for a little bit, got back into business. I work with a lot of fashion designers and some models. I'm a published photographer as well on top of that. And then, COVID hit, right? So we grab common conversations, we throw it back into the world, and in this case, we're like a live podcast. We go live on Facebook, YouTube. We were actually streaming while we were protesting. I created another podcast called The Oddfellas, where it was 4 Black men who sat down once a week, and we parlayed on just the experience of being Black in America, our childhood, our upbringing. Working on quite a bit. So right now I'm working on a project for June where we're going to sit down and talk about race, right? The whole conversation from beginning to end, white, Black, green, or otherwise, and the ideas to bring in different leaders throughout the region as we have this dialogue, and then bring in our leadership if they don't cower it out on me in Southern Indiana, whether you're a mayor or city council, to actually engage and talk about struggle, like what's actually happening. What have you learned? Where are we politically? Where are we within our justice system? Where are we within our education system? So I'm everywhere. I'm more of a social entrepreneur. That's what the wife would say. I'm also the creator of Sancho Miguel Salsa. So about 10 years back, we created our own line of salsa that you eat. And so I got 7 recipes, and at one point in time, we were in 7 retail stores down here. So now we just hustle it on the side. We took it out of the retail stores, but it might come back. But yeah, so I go live every Wednesday night, and I bring on different people, and we just parlay. Like last night, I had Marie Sweeney on, and we talked about the stock market, right, for the little guy or the little woman or little gal, however you want to define it. And we talked about how you invest, different apps that you can use and play with. And then the night before that, I had Minister Sam on, and we just wild out. So, but that's what I do. That's what I'm constantly doing. I'm constantly poking the bear. Man. I'm a social activist as well. So,
you know what? I'm sitting up here, listening to all of y'all and what y'all doing. It is astonishing to me that we are in a super duper minority right now. I don't even understand. With all these brilliant minds, here's 5 people that are doing amazing things, y'all. What do we need to do as part of the voices? Now, there obviously have got to be some others out there. I don't necessarily know everybody. I know Deb Chubb is kind of doing a thing with 20 for 25 or 25 for 20 or whatever. I know she's doing her thing. So I couldn't get everybody. But what do we need to do as vocal leaders to get this thing turned around, y'all?
We got to overcome
Well,
that
real tough.
apathy.
Yeah,
No, Miguel, you're on the right track too, because it's apathy. Everybody, politics, whatever. They're like happy that this year isn't an election year because I don't have to talk about politics now. I told him, I said, dude, wake up.
Right.
Yeah, you do got to talk about politics. It still has to be an everyday conversation. Do you know what the State House is doing to rape and pillage right now? That's what's going on. We have to continue to talk about it.
You know, and at some point, there's a reason they call us the middle finger of the South. And at some point, we can talk till we're blue in the face. We can knock on doors. At some point, though, we have to realize that, some people here in Indiana are who they are. When I ran, and I've said this on TV before, that when you run against a Republican, and I'll say the State House because that's what I ran for, you're going to get 2 or 3 postcards about 10 weeks out from your Republican opponent with him in an NRA hat, the newly bought camo he just bought, and the borrowed gun. And then the next 3 you're going to get is going to have him with his family, how he's pro-family values. And then the third one you're going to get is, my opponent wants to kill babies. They have the 3 pillars of Republican government: God's, guns, and babies. And as long as people continue to be 1 or 2 issue voters, there's going to be a problem, at least here in Indiana, until we make the case, and when we have the money to make the case, that's not necessarily true. And we're being outspent every day. You don't know how many candidates I talk to that I put on my radio station or our newsletter, and I say, what can you afford? I only got $50. Fine, let's get you going.
Yeah, I didn't have no money.
So, I mean, it's money. Money is the mother's milk of politics, and right now, Republicans have it, and Democrats don't. And until that playing field is equaled, and everyone on here does a great job at help evening that playing field, but nothing beats the dollar.
Jump in there, Deb.
So I'm going to take another little spin. I'm going to spin in a different direction here, because I don't think that that's exactly all the problem. Part of the problem is the Republicans control the messaging too much. And here's how. They have, first of all, like you said, all the money. They have too many incumbents. And when you're running, especially against an incumbent, they have already sent out their freebie legislative reports that said, this year I have supported public education. We have increased the spending for public education. That mailer goes out during, right after the session. I've helped senior citizens by doing this. And we know they didn't. Everybody in this room knows they did not. But they said they did. And then they'll send out, we have improved the roads in Indiana. Yeah, what? You have caused my local taxes to go up so that you could improve the roads in Indiana. But okay, you said that. And so they've done that. And so on a state rep rotation for 2 years, there have been at least 8 flyers that have gone out saying all the good things that they've done. And now it's time for a Democrat to come around. And we come out and we say, hey, they're a skunk. They have not helped public education. They did this, this, and this. And here's the other problem. The media, now in my market, we're in the Chicago market. Mm-hmm. So honest to God, I guarantee you 90% of the people in the Chicago market do not know what happened in Indianapolis today. They will not find that out unless they're following Facebook and they get the right kinds of feeds.
Yep.
They're not going to know. I could probably tomorrow go out in the restaurants and ask 50 people, do you know what the legislature did yesterday to the Black Caucus? And 47 of them will say, I have no idea.
Yep. Yep.
Now, that message isn't out there. And so the Democrats come up and say, oh, they're terrible people. They're terrible people. And they're thinking, wait a minute, if they're that bad, I would have heard about it.
Right. So
So the problem is we have got to be out there 24/7 chipping away at that message. And then the other thing is, we as Democrats, we've got this great big umbrella. And that's wonderful. There's room for everybody in our umbrella, but our messaging is terrible. It's all over the place. We have got to get our candidates to be consistent. This is what we're going to run on this year. And this is what you say. These are the talking points. Please be consistent. You want to talk about this? Nope. You got to talk. That's what they do.
And
We've got to start playing by their rules.
I agree with that to a certain extent, right? I believe that from an overall
local issues have to prevail. Yes,
right.
yes.
So from an overall standpoint, from a 92 county strategy,
sometimes we've got this echo chamber that we think, oh, I have seen people running for commissioners, county commissioner, talk about Medicare for all. Stop it. Stop it. That is not your wheelhorse. Don't do this.
Right. But even though I do agree when we're talking about a 92 county strategy and having the big topics, yeah, let's talk about protecting public education, infrastructure, those type of things. But there are certain areas of our state. But there are certain areas of our state, if you don't talk about certain things, or if you do talk, for example, if you don't talk about Black Lives Matter in Marion County, get the hell out. If you're not talking about Black Lives Matter in Evansville, get the hell out. But I can't go to Switzerland County and talk about
Union here in the region.
Yeah,
you're lost.
That's what I'm saying. So I agree that as the Big Tent, we do need to have a stronger message from a 92 county strategy, but you also as a candidate have to understand where you're running and understand who your constituents are so that you can speak to their specific needs as well.
We've got those county parties, those counties and all that.
Yeah. John, what you say?
Well, I think too that, we have to not run from our message. I think that with, you looked at 2018, the exit poll, what is everybody's main thing that they voted on? It was healthcare. Mm-hmm. And who has the best healthcare plans? Democrats. I think that there's a fear, which I see, I'm from somewhat of a rural area myself. I can see that. But I also think we have a winning message. I don't think we should run away from our values. I don't think we need to be like a Republican light, like, whoa, we're kind of like them, but not really. So vote for me. Who's that gonna get? It's not gonna get the Republican. The Trump supporters are gonna vote for a Democrat. No. We go back to a certain Senate race where somebody did a commercial where they're like, I'm against socialized medicine, but we met him when we were in DC, and he was talking about, we are so close to stopping diabetes. And I'm like, if you had that message going out there to everybody, that's a winning message. Who cares about, let's not talk about, you could talk about it, but that being your message, who is that going to bring in? We need to go at our base. And I think that you'll find if you go to, did you say Switzerland County?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Okay, if you go, I'm not a political consultant.
I'm a junkie.
I'd be like, go in with your message, go into Switzerland County, see what happens. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose. You know what I mean? If you're going to lose talking about socialized medicine, or talking about I hate socialized medicine, or I love socialized medicine, either way, stick with your guns. That's
I love it. I like it. Miguel?
I'm with you. I mean, I think one of the things we got to do, and I was gonna say this, is just this, Dana. Like, bring all the mouths to the table, and just let us share. I mean, there's stuff that's happened in the north, and it don't trickle down south, right? It don't come past Indianapolis, and we know that there's stuff that's happening in southern Indiana that don't go north. So doing this right here and bringing us to the table to engage, man, lock and load. Yo, I'm with John. Like, I think we got to spread our message everywhere. Because here's the deal. Like, when I ran for office down here, and I went out to the county and a couple of folks said, hey, Miguel, don't be surprised if they call you the N-word. Well, if I shouldn't be surprised that you're going to call me the N-word, then you shouldn't be surprised that I'm going to walk in and talk about black justice, right? I'm going to talk about the needs of black people in this state, right? Because you come into Jeffersonville, even though you might live out in Hibernia or wherever that is. You know what I mean? So now we have to have a message as a whole, and we have to put that together, and we all got to speak the truth. Some of these county people, though, some of these county leaders suck. I'm gonna be honest. I done met some of them. I ain't gonna name no names, but some of them ain't Democrats. I'm just gonna say that they DNRs. We R&Ds. We gonna call it whatever they is. But when somebody like Jim Lucas can make comments, racial comments on Facebook, and our party leaders remain silent, shame on you.
I know,
right?
Yep.
And this dude's still in office. He's still writing bills. He influences how dollars are spent, right?
Yeah.
He hurts the state.
Yeah.
He's bad for business.
Yep.
And we need to be loud about that.
Well, John and Miguel, I think y'all changed my mind. I thought maybe, y'all done converted me. I'm bringing this black lesbian funk everywhere I go. Oh, I did that anyway, though.
Let's go.
I did that anyway, though, didn't I? I didn't mind. But I think, and you're right, Miguel. This is why I was excited about this show, because I know that I'm the loudest voice of our party, and I've been the loudest voice. But Snyder been doing this for 2 decades. Miguel, you've been doing this for 2 decades. I may be the loud one, but there's people that's got more experience than me. They've been doing this longer than me. I'm just loud, and so I felt like, I got this social media platform. Let's elevate everybody, because the bottom line is this is the problem that I'm having right now. And y'all can jump in on this. I have a problem with people trying to hold on to perceived power. We don't have no power. We're the super duper minority. We don't have no power. So why you trying to hold on to something that you ain't got? Why don't you cultivate other people around you? Because you know what? There's power in numbers. So like I said, you can't hear me on Thursday, Miguel's on Wednesday. And we know Mark is doing something every 10 days or sooner. And Gary got a whole network. Come on now. So he got a whole network. Look, you don't think I'm gonna hit him up and I'm gonna slide in his DM and be like, yo, man, what's up? How come I can't get on that network?
No, well, and
If put him on the spot, I like it.
To be fair, I've talked to Deb before. She's advertised when she ran for office. I've seen John. I've seen Miguel on Facebook. I had no clue they were doing shows.
Yeah.
Not a clue. And I like to think that, I have my ear to pretty much everything media-wise here in Indiana. And I didn't know any of you did it. And,
and see, I'm lucky.
I'm all about putting all you guys on the network.
I'm nosy, so I want to know what everybody doing. I've been to Miguel's studio. Like, how you do that? I literally was like, I got to get better. And the other thing is like, a lot of our candidates. And I had this conversation with the great Dr. Woody Myers when he ran for office. He was waiting for the Indianapolis Star to come talk to him. The Star ain't finna come talk to you. You what? Because, obviously it was unprecedented times. He was a black candidate. He was a doctor in the middle of COVID. But this is Indiana. They're not coming to you. You got to create the news. But see, we're looking for us, right? We're looking for us to elevate. And therein lies the difference.
And like I said, I would love to put each and every one of you on. I didn't know you were out there. I have to know that you're out there. And maybe that's partly my fault. I should.
No, everybody's got lives, baby. Everybody got lives. That's why we're doing it tonight.
Gary, to your credit, I've only been on the radio for a month. I was a guest on his show, and then they decided that I peppered the show up quite a bit, so they asked me to co-host with him. So
I
So
love
I've only
it.
been on for a month. So
I mean, and that's what but see, that's what I'm saying. That's what we got to do, right? So we are in the midst of a revolution for real, right? We've got some major issues that we are going to have to tackle in our state. Now, this is our rebuilding year, right? This is the year that we're, as Democrats, supposed to be kind of coalescing around each other and figuring out the direction that we going in. But people are always asking, how do I get involved? What do I do? Where do I go? And this is what part of the reason why I'm doing this is I think this is what we are already doing. I mean, Gary, if you read one Snyder report, you know what the hell is going on. If you listen to Mark on My Labor Radio, you know what labor's talking about. And so the point of this conversation is to say, hey, no matter where you are, somebody's telling you what to do. Hear the voices. Look at us. We fly as hell, so you might as well get to know us, right?
That's right. That's what I'm saying. You're a pimp for me. Thank you.
Hey, I do that. I do that.
I'm not sure what fly means, but if it means I'm hip,
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm old school, so that's that '80s fly girl terminology.
Pretty fly for a white guy. I've heard that song.
Well, there you go. You in there. So, okay, so as you guys continue to progress and do the things that you're doing, give me an example of something that you want to accomplish in the next coming, because we got to have a long-term plan, right? So as voices, as vocal leaders of our party, talk about some of the things you want to do.
Just get that word out there. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to have everything but the 8 to 9 hour when Democracy Now! Is on, and everything from 9 to 3 when Stephanie Miller and Tom Hartman are on. I would love to have the rest of the shows like by people on this show tonight.
Oh, right. Done.
And as far as it goes, we're at 25,000 readers right now, 30% daily open rate, 95% weekly open rate. We would love to grow that to 50,000. Make me spend the money. I have no problem doing it.
I love it. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. Was you going to jump in there?
Yeah, what my point to this whole thing is, I don't look at it, I got to have it today. It's an incremental growth and be consistent. I joined a labor radio podcast network last April, which is kind of a new thing, but it's labor people from all over the United States who are doing radio and or podcast, both, and putting their voice out there. That group alone is just blowing up right now, and everybody's part of it. There's some great voices out there because unions are now, from the White House on down, are getting some serious shake and really talking about it and the importance of unions. So it's a good thing for collective bargaining is a right, and everybody should have it. What's the boss going to hate the most? When you collectively take action in the workplace.
Come on.
Why do they hate it? Because they want to rule and control, and they can't. What it is people coming together. It's a common thing. So everybody looks back at it and go, well, unions, black and white photos and the cops on horses, and they're walking around with their long coats and their hats on. No, this is today. Black Lives Matter has brought it to the streets. Folks, this is what's going on. It's everywhere. It's happening right now. The fragility of the white male is why this domestic terrorism is growing like it is. They're losing their grip and they can't take it. I love the fact that the voices are being heard, and we've got so many options to help those voices get out there.
I love it. John, what you want to do?
I want to see Indiana be like Texas and Georgia, turn blue. I know it can. I think,
Texas.
We have the great candidates. I talked to many great candidates. I think we need to keep on our issues, not be afraid of that. And Dana, once COVID subsides, you and I are going down to Switzerland County as ourselves, and we're going to turn that place around, I'm telling you.
All right, let's do it.
Show them to vote.
Y'all know,
Let's turn left.
Let's just say like Texas with heat.
Yeah, Texas. Well, I've hit over 50 counties, and there's some that are my favorites. And because when you get down there, like literally, I increase the minority population by 100% when I go. But it doesn't matter because like I'm getting so much Democratic love. It's like, let's do this thing. So yeah, let's roll out, John. Let's roll out. Deb, what you talking about doing? What do you guys hope to accomplish this as moving forward?
So we are actually kind of taking over the radio station. we're taking it. We've joined the board and restructuring it, and it's on the brink. And so we're trying to get it financially on its feet again. And in doing that, we hope to expand the programming that we have. And in doing that, we hope to have more political kinds of shows like ours. And but more importantly, we just want to have a venue where the Democratic voice can be heard. So people, Valparaiso, Porter County used to be a really strong Democratic county. The Democrats are still here. They haven't left. It's just that a lot of Democrats from Chicago moved here, and now they've turned Republican. We need to get them back in touch with their Democratic roots. And, we need to turn this county back to blue again.
I love
it.
And
we'll do that.
I love it. I love it. Miguel, what y'all working on down there? And you know what? And by the way, I think you ought to stick to your roving reporter role, because you were down there in Louisville when it was all going down. And I'm not just saying one night. My man was down there weeks on end. What y'all don't know. My man was in them streets weeks on end. Talk about what you want to see going forward, my man.
Man, I want to see us. I want to see us shame the devil and name names. Like I really want to talk about all party leaders and elected officials who ain't doing right, and put them on a slab and say, look, this is what they look like, and these are the things that they're saying. I want to see us roll out and look at the policies in our communities, both at the county level and at the state level, and start looking at it and say, this just isn't biased. This is racist, right? And this is how we tear it down, rip it up, and rewrite it. I want us to look at the judicial system, right? I want us to name names. I want us to look at the sheriff and be like, you foul, you dirty, you shouldn't be there. I want us to look at the state police and say, why are we not measuring? Or why are we not collecting the data required when you do pullovers? Why are we not looking at your arrest records? How is it? We need to, that's what I want to see, right? That's one. Two, I want to see us as candidates. When we get out here in these streets, I want us to know where our resources are and truly utilize them. There's no reason, if you're running Indianapolis, it's okay for you to be known in Southern Indiana. If you running in Southern Indiana, it's okay for you to be known in Northern Indiana. Let's stop living in these fiefdoms, because until we unite and run like a team, we're going to keep being beat by the other team. Yeah. And so we've got to be collectively together in that piece. So I do a lot of content creation, and so I would love to work with candidates across the state, in terms of helping building their platforms, whether they're doing, social media strategy, whether they're doing podcast or audio, whatever. I would love to see us collectively, man. Now that I know this right here, let's do this at least once a quarter and parlay and make ourselves better, man. This clubhouse right here.
I love it. And see that brings me joy, because you have an idea and you don't know how well that idea is going to go over, but seeing the energy that you guys, I'm like, I don't have very many good ideas, but but this one was a good one, because I would love to see us like literally collaborate on that messaging. Now, Gary, I ain't gonna lie, I'm put you on spot again. You got the network, so we gonna ask you to take the lead on that, right? Because you're getting messages from a lot more. You have a larger audience than all of us does, but you can shoot us something and say, okay, this is what's happening. We need to amplify this, or how can we collectively come together? If you got 25,000, we need to be listening to you. And see, all of us, our egos are all in check. That's the beautiful part, right? All of us. Our egos in check. We comfortable who we are. We ain't got to try to outdo. But recognize game. And,
right.
And I'm just.
I haven't wore pants that didn't have an elastic waistband since last year.
Oh, I've been going back to wearing regular clothes, because if I don't soon, I was like, I ain't gonna be able to fit nothing. One last topic I want to hit on, because I know we want to wrap it up soon, but I gotta hit on this topic, because everybody on here has talked about healthcare at least once. Now, Deb, I'm gonna start with you. How come the teachers ain't getting vaccinated? What's up with that? They've been moaning and groaning about the schools not opening up, but they ain't put the teachers on the priority list. Talk to me about it, Deb.
Because Indiana hates teachers, and especially public school teachers.
Hates them.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced the legislature, our government, they have done nothing. If you look at what they've done to teachers, so just what was it yesterday, or no, what was it today? They have they're effectively taking our right to have dues deduction.
Correct.
For our union dues.
Mm-hmm.
Every other union is allowed to have dues deduction, from their paycheck. Nope, not us. Now, our particular local did away with it.
And we need to be advocating for better high-speed internet for everybody, because see, this is real talk right now.
Right.
This ain't a hate on Deb. It's like
We've advocated for that as well. So it's guaranteed not to happen. We've advocated for more funding for public education. The legislature's giving it all the voucher schools and charters. The hate keeps coming.
the hate keeps coming. Gary, what are
There's
they
your
saying?
quote, Miguel.
Okay, the hate keeps coming. Gary, talk to us. What about, how come we can't get our teachers vaccinated, my man?
No, I can't even get internet out here. That's my hotspot. I live BFE, so anyone that can get me higher than a 2, I'd be happy. Deb's right. They hate teachers.
Wow. That every time y'all say they hate teachers, somebody's internet dies.
Yeah.
Come on, Mark. Come on, give it to him.
Okay, I got a great quote that I had the other day from a gentleman that I was on a live podcast with. And one of the things I thought that was great about it, he's from Alabama, and he was talking about all the things that are going on in organizing for the Amazon workers. And he said, no matter your politics, your boss all have one thing in common. They hate collective action and unions. There are 2 classes in this world, and they're not Democrat or Republican. It's working class and the ruling class.
Come on.
And it's incumbent upon our survival for you to pick a side. Obviously, this panel has picked a side. We know where we're at. We're trying to fight the ruling class. They want to rule, and we want to make sure they can stop it. They have to think about us. And that's what we're doing, is forcing our message back upon them. That's what they hate. If they could stop public radio, or if they could stop the Snyder Report or Indiana Talks or any common show that's out there, if they could stop that from happening, they would. In the meantime, we need to grow. We need to get more people involved. We need to tell, like Miguel's working on things too, get people involved. What can I do to help you get your show on the air? That's great. We need more of that. Absolutely.
Gary, you got lost your internet. I want to hear from you, bro.
No, they hate teachers. Teachers are I guess the boogeyman of the 2020s now. At some point, their school reform has to become the status quo, and for a group of people to continue talk about education reform, which they've been talking about since Mitch Daniels, and things have just gotten worse. And you gotta start to believe at some point, other than the Glenda Ritz election, people just don't care.
Yeah. Miguel, talk about them teachers.
Man, let me say this. They won't give the teachers the vaccine. So I think differently about the vaccine, but the reason they're not giving the teachers the vaccine, it's not they hate the teachers. They hate our kids.
Ooh. Did you say
they
that?
hate our kids. They really don't want our kids in school.
They don't.
That's power play. That's the truth.
They
know what I mean? And I watched the news this morning, and they were talking about how they were delivering an antidote, and somebody said, well, what is it actually going to do? And they said, well, it's not going to stop you from getting COVID. It just might keep you from dying. So I'm on the fence about how we giving people shots. Tuskegee, if you've never studied the Tuskegee experiment, there's a lot of reasons why the Black community is like, no, stop, don't touch me. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of America, we should be asking more questions about what are you sticking in us? I done heard something about some nanos. and that they can and that it can genetically alter things inside. Like we are walking a sci-fi movie right now, and our government is playing. Look, we're gonna turn this video game off.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they hate our
Everyone
kids.
got the vaccine here.
I've not left my house though. I ain't going nowhere except for the grocery store.
I get it next Thursday at the VA. So
Okay. John,
we'll see.
what are they doing to our teachers? I like Miguel's assessment, John. They don't like our students, which they are actually proving by how they're spending the money. The vast majority of the money, the new funding, is going to 4% of the students. Talk to us, John.
Yeah, well, I do have to say it is very easy to keep 20 kids in a small space with masks on 3 feet away from experience. You know what I mean? So why do we need a vaccine when it's so simple to keep it off like that? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think it's just education. We're seeing all the money. I can't remember the specific bill, but there's a bill I think that's going through now that would give funding, that would take funding away from these schools and put them in these schools. So I think it's just more of just the larger picture, getting into the whole thing.
Okay, so I asked that last question because I knew each and every one of you were caught up on the issue in your own way. And I think we ought to follow Mark's lead and create this collective, right? If Indianapolis Star is not going to watch us or listen, follow what we're doing as Democrats, or if any of the television stations, then we all know what to do. We got the blueprint. Let's just go ahead and create that collective. Gary Snyder, since you got all the juice, we going to follow your lead. Give us our marching orders, and we going to make it happen, because the bottom line is, Hoosiers want change. They want to know. They want to know where to get activated. They want to know how they can be a part of this thing, and we need to be the voices elevating what that change looks like. I am so proud to know each and every one of you. I've met you as candidates. You've graced me with my show before COVID. You actually came to the studio directly. I don't mind going down to Jeffersonville and hanging out. So, that ain't nothing new. But I thank y'all so much for lending your talents to share with people on my little platform. I feel a little embarrassed with Gary Snyder's 25,000. No. Real talk.
He's a number dropper.
Yeah. Real talk.
To be fair, that's the newsletter. That's not my list.
It don't matter. You know what? You have an audience, and we all have an audience, right? We all have a different audience. So it is incumbent upon us. And if you also notice, we're all speaking that Democratic language. You got a whole kaleidoscope of people. Only thing I'm missing is a little. Who speaks Spanish?
I can't even fake it.
Okay, well, all we gotta do is add a little brown in the mix, right? We got pretty much, our Rainbow Coalition covered. So let's keep working. Let's keep working and striving for the people, because they need us just like we need them. Thank y'all so much. All right, last bit, and then I'm gonna let everybody go. I'm gonna start with Mark. Tell them where they can find you, and we're gonna go around the room. It's gonna be Mark, John, Deb, Miguel, Gary. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, Dana Black, thanks a lot. This is a great job to put everybody together here. Good idea. You have 100 good ideas, and I appreciate you including us in this one good idea. You can find me on mylaborradio.org, WELT-FM right here in Fort Wayne. 95.7 FM carries the show. I'm on Indiana Talks every evening, weeknights, Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 p.m. But ultimately, you can find us on any social media platform. I use Libsyn, so I'm out there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. Just search My Labor Radio. That's my deal.
And that's his voice. Oh, my God. Okay, John.
You can see, I haven't had any new shows in a while. Hopefully I'll get some going on, but you can go on Facebook to The Johnny Says, and you can see some of the archive shows. And hey, it's free. I don't charge anything for that. You can see me talk to Dana. I talked to Greg Robinson, who ran for Tulsa mayor. Just a few people that have lots of good shows. And, I try and keep it entertaining. It's always on me. If you like the show, you can say, wow, the guest was great. If you don't like the show, you could say, well, that host is terrible. So it's always on me if anybody ever wants to go on my show.
I love it. Deb?
I'm on 103.1 FM, WVLP, and our we're at wvlp.org on the internet, and you can Facebook on A Better Way Forward. Our show is at 6:00 p.m. and that's Central Time. And I guess that's probably it.
All right, Miguel, tell the people where they can find you, bro.
I'm on all social medias. It's just Miguel Hampton. On IG, it's Miguel_Hampton. And then if you're looking for Common Conversations, it's Common Convo. And that's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also find the shows when we publish them on our podcast. That's commonconvo.com, as well as on Apple, Spotify. We just got it, hooked up on Pandora. I need to do some work to get that together. But if you want to watch how I create the show, I go live almost every Wednesday on my personal page and on the Common Conversation page. And then you get to see all the bloopers, the crazy, the fun. Let's go.
I love it. All right, Gary, tell the people where they can find you in all your platforms.
We're on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Just search Indiana Talks or Snyder Reports. The website is snyderreport.com or indianatalks.com. We're on TuneIn Radio. Just search Indiana Talks Network. And if you go to snyderreport.com, you can subscribe to the newsletter there. And, I try to put it out about 8:30 every morning. I got to sleep in a little bit.
I love it. Y'all, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I am so elevated Robin Winston gave me some advice, and he said, elevate yourself. And I want to share that with y'all because it was so impactful and powerful. Elevate yourself. And that's what each and every one of you are doing. You're elevating yourselves, and now we're going to collectively elevate each other. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left next week. Okay, so I got to tell y'all this. The state party has created this thing called councils, and they won't be voting members on the central committee, but they will be counselors. And the first group to actually become a council was the Indiana Democratic Women's Federation. Wait a minute. Deb, help me. I messed it up.
Indiana Federation of Democratic Women.
Thank you. Indiana Federation of Democratic Women. They are not a voting member, but they will be counsel on women's issues. And as Miss Cordelia said to the people in the meeting, it's a federation. So even if your women's group is not necessarily tied in with the federation, you can get tied in because it's a federation. So, but the reason why I'm telling you that is because next week I'm going to have Dawn Lewis on. Dawn Lewis is the founder of the Marion County chapter of the Federation. So we're going to be talking all things women. It's the last week of Black History Month, but you know me, when I show up on your screen, it's Black History. You know what I'm saying? Because I do it like I do it the way I do it. So tune in next week where we can talk about how you can help women in Marion County get involved politically. I'm excited about this new chapter. And we're, again, all women all the time. I love that. And I love when we can, make space for us. All right. I will catch y'all next week. Peace.